This is the Songwriting Mind, a program exploring the personal depths of creativity, stories, and craft that define songwriting. In this episode, we'll hear from Kier Stevens, a songwriter based in Melbourne, Australia. Enjoy.
What I do now is not what I always did. So like playing guitar and writing songs. When I first started making music, I was actually making it in a program called EJ that was kind of like a basic version of Fruity Loops or something with thousands of samples, and you make techno music. So I actually started there. And then after that, I started learning guitar and getting into heavy metal. So then I was making these weird instrumental tracks with dance beats and really lo-fi bad guitar riffs over the top, because that's all I had. It was just kind of about the newness, making new sounds and then making a song that sounded cohesive. Just a piece of music that sounded like a piece of music, not just random sounds in a random order. I used to structure the songs kind of similar to a pop song anyway, even though they were like 8 minutes long, because I had this bad habit of like, I wanted to expose everyone to every element of the track at some point in the song. So it was kind of like a verse, chorus, bridge, chorus structure, but with all these weird little breakdowns and stuff so that everyone can know every little sound that was in there. And I'm glad to have let go of that habit, because one, it makes the song really, really long, way longer than it needs to be. And two, you kind of delete all the mystery if you like serve every piece of the song up to the audience. Yeah, just leave some things half said, or leave a mistake in there, or add a bit that no one's going to hear. That's fine. Adds to the mystery. And when I added words and sort of moved to more traditional songwriting, I guess, I kind of let the computer go and just was writing acoustic stuff with words. It was kind of similar at the start for a bit, because these songs were really, really long, and I did the same thing. I wanted everyone to see like this chord progression and that chord progression with vocals and without vocals and all this stuff. So I was writing these really weird things. I was just making up nonsensical chord shapes that sounded good to me. I don't know, I can't remember many of these songs. I think I've got one. I think I've got the words to one somewhere. I don't know if I recorded any of them. That was fun, but that probably only lasted 6 months to a year, because then my best friend started playing drums and we put a band together. So then we started doing rock and metal, and then writing our own instrumental, progressive metal, epic masterpieces. And that was kind of the next phase. I didn't actually get a guitar till I was 17 or 18 and started having lessons then. So it was a few years. Yeah, maybe 14 I was doing the techno, and then 17 I got a guitar and some lessons and was learning then. And it was funny, because in my first lesson he was like, "What do you want to learn?" It's like, "I want to learn this Nine Inch Nails song." And he was like, "Oh, okay, there's basically no guitar in this, it's just all synths. But I can show you the synth stuff." So, okay, cool. I have an old Bandcamp account which lets me put things up there that you can only listen to and not download. I've toyed with the idea of putting them up. It'd just be really confusing to people to hear all this techno stuff, and then it goes through noise music and then blues, but I don't know, I probably will do it eventually. It's a strange kind of journey. Yeah, I've just realised it is kind of the history of music in reverse, isn't it? Started electronic, then went to metal, and then to rock, and then to blues. Yeah, just lute, and then like bone flute, and then hitting rocks. Oh, good to know what's ahead in my career. Well, and generally how I do it is I have a multitude of projects, so that I have my solo stuff, which is kind of bluesy, ballads and stuff as well. I have a band, Doggerel, which is a blues band, but we also do some kind of heavy, weird shit as well. We're going to do more of that in the future. I have an acoustic thing that I do with a cellist called Come Heavy Sleep, which is all these kind of dark folk noir kind of ballads. I have an instrumental improv band called Thicken, and I play other people's music as well on like pedal steel or dobro and stuff like that. So that's my solution to having too many ideas. Is I've given myself multiple targets, basically. So that usually it fits in one of those. If I have some random idea that doesn't, I'll just put that somewhere else and think about it for a while. I want to write and play all the time. So I'm trying to manufacture this environment that lets me do that. So the first track on the EP is called Big Man Crying. And the idea behind that was I wanted a song that was as tough as Tom Waits' Going Out West. It's basically just this guy bragging about how tough he is. And it's a wicked song. Many people have done good versions, like Aussie dudes Lloyd Spiegel and Ash Grunwald. But I thought it's been done a fair bit. It was like, well, I want my own one. That's my version. So I just started writing lyrics in a similar vein about this guy who's real tough and he's telling you about it. And so he's just saying all these tough things. But of course, if you listen to this, a person in real life say this to you, you would be rolling your eyes. And you would be annoyed at this person. Well, I would be anyway. So I wanted to put a kind of chink in his armour. So I was like, well, at some point, something's going to happen. He's going to be crying. He's not going to be tough anymore. So the chorus, it's just big man crying, just over and over and over. But the way this song turned out, I kept it really basic, similar to Going Out West. It's almost entirely one riff. The verse and the chorus is one riff. There's a bit of a solo-y bit in the middle. And I started performing it before it was finished. And after I did that a few times, I realised it didn't need a pre-chorus or a bridge or any other section. So I kept performing it that way. And then after a couple of weeks, I was like, oh, there's no link between the verse and the chorus at all anymore. There's just a series of this guy bragging about how tough he is. And then he's crying for some unknown reason. And then the song ends. And I thought, fuck it feels right. So there was a plan to have a bridge that turned him from the tough man to the crying sook. But it just never happened, so... just kind of has a nonsensical chorus. It's first-person perspective. It's a work of fiction too. I always have to say this if mum or dad are in the audience, because I don't usually write works of fiction, actually. That's kind of a new thing for me. But yeah, the last verse is, I never met my mum. They said my daddy was dumb. They filled my bottle full of rum. And I don't want mum to give me a funny look when I'm singing that one.
Don't mind dying. Come back before. Won't catch me crying at your funeral. Don't mind the sight of blood. The needle bothers me none. And I'm at home in the mud. Big man crying. Big man crying. Big man crying. Big man crying. Don't mind people hating. Fuels my fire. You know I sure love making fools out of liars. I don't mind the songs they sing, or the stones they sing. It only fills my wings. daddy, he was dumb. Filled my bottle full of rum. Big man crying. Big man crying. Big man crying. Big man crying.
Well, I used to always write about myself, but veiled in these dense metaphors that were kind of aesthetically dark and pleasing to me. And then when I started doing the blues stuff, I was doing the same thing, but it was really open and raw and kind of uncomfortable. It's kind of clothed in this blues format, which is comfortable and safe. But some of those songs I was writing were really honest and aggressive, and kind of like, I kind of wanted to hurt the audience with them. But then I was reading, last year I read Jeff Lang's book. He's an amazing Australian guitarist who, he had a book called, I think it's called Some Memories Never Die. A lot of stories about doing gigs on the road and stuff from the last 30 years or so he's been playing. And he said something in there that was something along the lines of something like that he doesn't write fiction, or he doesn't write sort of personal things. They're all kind of a mix of the two. And I've been writing songs for 20 years, and that had never occurred to me. I was always just writing about myself or about someone else. It just may or may not be clothed in sort of fictitious imagery or not. So when I read that really opened up some ideas for me to just start with a piece of fiction, or start with one line of raw honesty, and then just sort of free flow from there and see what happens. Because the big thing is, before I would have had an idea about how the song would sound at the end. Like, I'm writing about this fictional person, they start here, they end there. Or I'm writing about myself, it's about this week in my life, or it's about that year of mum's life, or whatever. It's sort of already self-contained before you even write the first line. But when I learnt that he was combining these both, it was like, oh, I can just write stuff that's apparently connected or not, and then see where it ends up. And I don't know what it's going to sound like at the end. And it's not like automatic writing or just jotting random shit down. It's just starting with a theme, but you haven't defined where it's going to end up. And that was new for me. And that was only a year or two ago. Yeah, singing about yourself all the time was something that can get boring as well. So even before I had moved on to this kind of mess of fiction and truth thing, I would just write songs about myself from other perspectives. I'd just say you or she or they instead of I. And just that can open you up to some new songwriting ideas as well. So the second track on the EP is called Show Me the Door. And it's kind of about someone who's participated in a one-night stand and the following morning is now being booted onto the street unceremoniously. But this person kicking them out is not a person, it's the universe. And it's actually a song about when you feel like you're getting fucked by the universe and you just don't belong in your life on this planet, in this universe. And it's so contrary to what I said earlier about when I was writing blues stuff and trying to be like really raw and honest to the point of like hurting the audience, I've also done the opposite, and this one's kind of one of those, which is, this is kind of like really dark, depressed kind of content in the lyrics, but it's to some quite upbeat, fun riffage and kind of music you can just drive along to. So this one's like a hand grenade stuck inside a cake. It's kind of a strange one. I don't know if that meaning is actually apparent from the song. I don't think it is actually, but it's yeah, it's just about someone being shown the door unceremoniously.
Save me from my own twisted plans. Wave me away with a limp-wristed hand. Enslave me in codependency. You pave me over like a bad memory. Wake me up, yeah, you're kicking me to the floor. Send me downstairs. Wake me up, you don't need me anymore. Send me downstairs, and you're showing me the door. Hide me where nobody could see. Chide me just like I'm a little baby. You ride me hard and you're putting me away wet. Well, you tried me, now you wanna try the race. Wake me up, yeah, you're kicking me to the floor. Send me downstairs. Wake me up, you don't need me anymore. Send me downstairs, and you're showing me the door.
The next tune is called Living This Way, and this is a song that I wrote in response to Nick Lowe. So about 6 months ago, my mum introduced me to this song called Lately I've Let Things Slide by Nick Lowe, and it's a great song. The character in this is, well, he's singing it from a first person perspective, could be about him, is a bit of a piece of shit, and their life's kind of gone to shit. But the music is kind of happy, but it plods along, and it kind of really emphasises how down and out this person is. There's There's all the lyrics in this song are great, but there's a handful of lines that kind of encapsulates the character in a couple of lines. Such as that untouched takeaway I brought home the other day has quite a lot to say. Just that to me says a lot about what this person's apartment looks like. Obviously it's an apartment, it's not a mansion. It's not a country house. Smoking I once quit, now I've got one lit. I just fell back into it. Yeah, this sounds like some sort of down and out bachelor. Anyway, based off the strength of that one song, I signed up to do a Tribute Tuesday gig at the Drunken Poet in Melbourne. They have original music 5 nights a week, but Tuesdays they get singer-songwriters come in and do a tribute to one artist for an hour. So off the back of that one song, I thought I'll do Nick Lowe then. And I found a bunch of his other songs that I liked, and some of songs that he had covered that I liked, and other people had covered his songs, like Johnny Cash and people like that. But when I was preparing all this material for that gig, I realised all of his songs are like 2 minutes. I was like, fuck, I have to do an hour. There's so many songs. And I had already realised that I've picked all of his most depressing ones. I left out his hits from the 70s because I was doing it just with guitar and voice, and all his 70s hits kind of really need drums. They're kind of like upbeat rock. So I thought, I'll write a couple. I'll write 2 songs that are inspired by Nick Lowe, but mostly that song, Lately I've Let Things Slide. And Living This Way is one of those. And I wrote it the day before I performed it. So this is another one where it wasn't quite finished. And I just went and performed it live. You know, I didn't actually perform it for a couple of months till a few weeks ago, and then recorded it and put it on this EP. So that's nice. But I was trying to partially imitate the gentle, nice chord that he's got with the lyrics about this despicable character who's kind of let his life go to shit. It's kind of a mix of fiction and truth, this one, but the germ of this song is from one day when my wife said, you can't keep living this way. In reference to the all the gigs, but the attendant poverty and drinking that comes with that. And I was having a bit of a bad week, and we're having a chat about the future, and things weren't looking great that week. They're looking better now. So that was the seed for that song. You can't keep living this way. That became the chorus, and I just kind of filled it out from there with this mix of fiction and truth that we've been talking about, and the perspectives kind of waft in and out and change a bit. It's a bit ambiguous, which a couple of years ago I would not have allowed that. I would have no, it's got to be this, or it's got to be that, or it's got to change here because of that. But this time I just let it flow out as it wanted to, and that's why it was a song that I was able to write in an hour or two and perform it the next day, because it came out without duress.
You can't go on living this way. I shudder just to hear you say it. Now my heart pumps only shame, because I know that I am the one to blame. You can't go on living this way. No money and no drive, closer to death than being alive. Drinking whiskey while I ride. Kinda sad to see it though, every single night. You can't go on living this way. A new day, sun is shining, new OCs begin their chiming. So I go out aimless driving and just try to stop my mind from unwinding. You can't go on living this way. Tomorrow that I'm going to make the change, but I think we both know that really I'm too afraid to pick myself up and just try once again. You can't go on living this way, and if you try to, you're gonna break. And if your heart pumps only shame, get ready to watch your life go down the drain. You can't go on living this way. No, I can't go on living this way anymore.
My only intentions for the music, the chords and harmonic backing for that were, I wanted it to be sort of happy and not too challenging harmonically, because I wanted to focus on the lyrics. And I did that. But usually, I don't actually normally do that. I usually start with the music first. I don't think you have to be a music first or a lyrics first person. But if you put a gun to my head, I'm actually a music first person. And yeah, it's not. Yeah, sometimes the lyrics do come first, but I usually pair that with a piece of music that's already written. So that even then, we can say it's contemporaneous. But often, if I'm writing in a blues format, I nearly always put a kink in there that someone else would not do. My very first blues songs are 12-bar blues in G and D and E, and they follow that format. But you know, in the last 10 years, I wouldn't write a straight 12-bar. It will be slightly cooked in some way. It will be in 5/4, or there'll be an extra beat at the turnaround, or there will be the kind of chromatic thing that's not supposed to be there, or there will be, one of the chords is wrong on purpose, doesn't go to the 4 chord, it goes somewhere else, or something like that. Or it's 13 bars long. So if I'm ever writing in a kind of standardized or codified format, then I'll usually put at least one kink in there that helps me. Well, it makes it a little bit different. It also helps me bounce new ideas off the song, because that just pushes you in a slightly wrong direction, which is generally my preference. There's big events in everyone's lives that inspire songs, funerals and marriages and family dramas and shit in the news and things like this. But I think this is relevant. One thing I've learnt is that I really like having all the free time in the world to tour and perform and write music and practice and do all this stuff. But I think a lot of people would agree, if you're kind of not grounded in the regular day-to-day life that a lot of your listeners will be, you might struggle to write songs that other people can comprehend, which is, no great revelation. I think this is what happened with a lot of 60s bands. They started with like real poppy stuff, got a bit rocky, then they went to India for an album or two, and then they came back or disappeared. And if you stay in the India period forever, then your audience is going to change or disappear. And I'm speaking about this from a perspective of, a songwriter who may want to have their music on the radio or on some cool playlists or something. not someone who's considering writing music where, Georgian choir and Carnatic music and Mozart and hip-hop have equal influence on their music. Person writing that music may not be seeking songwriting tips from me. Yeah, so I don't think you don't have to go and be a road worker to write good songs. You don't have to have a job for you to be able to have a license to write songs about the working class or whatever. That's not what I'm saying, but yeah, if you go too far outside the lines, people might not know what you're trying to say. I'm sure there's a lot of people who are like, well, I'm not writing for them. I'm not writing for plumbers or teachers or billionaires or mums or whatever. But I would argue that you might be writing for someone. I think very few people are writing actually for themselves, in quote marks. I think that's a phrase that people use to advertise that they're being artistically truthful and stuff. But yeah, I mean, if you write the best song in the universe and no one ever hears it, is it the best song? Does it exist even? Is it, or is it? Can we just have a little MP3 on your tombstone and we can press play to hear the best song in the universe? I don't know. Usually writing for someone or something, or I'm assuming that you're making a sound because you want to be heard by someone. Yeah, occasionally it's the consideration for the venue or the listener is there, but it's not the primary thing, and it's not something I can let go of completely, because because it's very rare that I actually write something without thinking about how I'm going to perform it or record it. Those things are in my head while I'm writing it. So it might influence it, or it might be the other way around. It's like, oh, this song's getting a bit cooked. I won't be playing this one at the pub. That's fine too. It can go both ways. But it's, you got to be careful of that. You don't, otherwise you might write yourself out of the song. You've just written something for this imaginary person or venue that you think will like it, and they won't. They probably don't even exist because you've just made them up in your head. So, and there's lots of inspirational quotes about being individual and just being yourself and blah blah blah, all that shit. I can't remember many of them. The one I most appreciate, though, probably is Stephen Wilson from Porcupine Tree. Yeah, he was pretty vehement about this. He's like, don't think about any of that shit ever, because, in a sea of everyone trying to do the same shit, or at least try and get that music career, and they're all going about it the same way, that the only actual thing of value you have is the quirks of your personality and individuality. So just let all that come through, and you'll be the best advertisement for yourself that you can be. Horrifically paraphrased, but we can look it up later and see how bad I got it wrong. Oh yeah, we'll talk about one more. The last one with lyrics is Worry on My Mind, and that's what I've named the EP after, because I feel like that's a good marriage of several of these influences. It was, and different ways of thinking. It was a music first song, lyrics second, and the lyrics are they're sort of truthful but mixed in with fictitious imagery. So it's kind of a good mix, and it's halfway between blues and something else as well, because I enjoy listening to Middle Eastern and Indian music, and I've studied a little bit of Indian music, so I've put a bit of that influence in there. But I actually stole the turnaround from an Otis Rush song, I Can't Quit You Baby, where at the end of the form in this 12 bar, he doesn't go back to the 5 chord. He just does the 1 and the flat 2 and the 1 and the flat 2, and then starts again. And that to me was kind of weird for a song that was in the 50s, I think. So I pinched that and put that at the start of my song. But I really lean heavy into that, so it gives it a vaguely Eastern vibe. And I really like that kind of mix of like Eastern and blues. So I'm trying to lean on that through the song, and but also like stealing John Lee Hooker's idea. Like, he doesn't even bother going to the 4 chord or the 5 chord half the time. He plays them, but he's playing the tonic underneath. He's playing the So I'm doing that in the verse as well. So yeah, this song is it's a mix of those weird musical influences and blues and modern day stress over not much ruining your sleep.
Went to bed with worry on my mind. It's gonna wake me up in an hour's time. There is nothing I can do. Wish I could but dream of you all night. 'Cause I got worry on my mind. Waterfalls of errors cascade as I recall every mistake. There is nothing I can do. Seems my peace of mind just blew away. Now I got worry on my mind. Deep and dark and warm and oh so safe. There is nothing I can do. Seems I kind of abuse this place. 'Cause I got worry on my mind. There must be a ghost, silence in my soul. Here's my soul. Try to just forget about the time. It wasn't quite like this when I was a child.
I would say, I think there's two things that helped me in a general sense. One was the phrase, I can't remember where it comes from, burn your darlings. I used to get hung up on songs for so long and they wouldn't get finished for years and years. And then, well, yeah, as you get older, if you don't put stuff out, you don't perform it, or you don't write it down, you don't do something with it, then it dies anyway. Yeah, you spend so many years trying to keep it alive, you're actually killing it anyway. So just fucking finish it and put it out or perform it, and then it'll become apparent if it's good or not. If it's not good, just chuck it out and start again, or try and fix it. But yeah, you can't have it go on forever. You just can't. You can't spend 15 years writing a song and then expect 15 years of appreciation to come back at you. It's just... Yeah, so I used to be really hung up on stuff, or I have one little idea that didn't fit in any songs, and I just carry that idea around. Got a whole mental baggage of 10 suitcases of these ideas that don't go anywhere, and they just kind of like weigh you down. So chuck them in a song where they sound okay and just see what happens. If it's not the best, oh well, doesn't matter. That song's done, that idea's in the past. You can move on. And the other thing that's good for me... Yeah, I'm a bit scattergun. I do a million ideas all the time, and I'm doing stuff all over the place, which is, perhaps detrimental to maybe, compared to like focusing on one thing and getting really awesome at it. I just can't do that. But I think the path, people often talk about quality over quantity, but I think in creative pursuits, a lot of people who talk that way don't always actually release that much stuff. Photos, paintings, music, books, whatever. I remember speaking to this guy who had this wicked album that he'd been recording at home. The production on it was like amazing. It was utterly amazing. And the music was kind of like Metallica Black Album. It was really tight, catchy riffs, produced amazing. It was top-notch quality, but he'd been working on it for a decade, and he still wasn't quite finished. So, and this was 10 years ago, so I don't know, it's probably still not out. So I think, honestly think the path to quality goes through quantity, and that applies to releasing things as well. Some people can release something amazing on their first go because they worked really hard at it. Most people can't, and I think you need to practice burning your darlings. You need to practice performing on stage. You need to practice recording. You need to practice putting it out. Just putting it out there and letting it go and go. All these different things, not just practicing your scales and songwriting and stuff. You need to putting it out there, because otherwise you might not ever do it, or you might only do it once. Maybe you're cool with that, but that's not acceptable for me.
Thank you for listening to the Songwriting Mind. This interview with Kier Stevens was recorded on February 3rd, 2025 in Evandale, Lutruwita, Tasmania. You can find his music at kierstevensmusic.bandcamp.com. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate the podcast, leave a comment, and share it with others. Peace.